It was a day like any other, until the world was thrown into chaos. Across the globe, humans went about their lives, unaware that the fabric of their existence was about to be torn apart. The news came suddenly, and it came hard. The leader of the Galactic Federation, a vast coalition of alien species, declared that war had been waged on humanity. The announcement was broadcast across every communication channel, interrupting television programs, radio frequencies, and even the digital networks people had come to rely on. Humanity has been deemed a threat to the galaxy. The alien voice rang cold and clear. You have been marked for extermination. The invasion begins now. Panic erupted everywhere. Governments scrambled, and people took to the streets in fear. The announcement was so sudden, so unexpected, that many couldn't process what was happening. No one had seen it coming. No one had even known that humans had drawn the attention of such a vast, powerful force. It felt like a nightmare, but it was real. And now, humanity was on the brink of destruction. In the midst of the confusion stood Captain Ava Drake, a sharp and determined strategist in the Earth Defense Forces. She stood in the command center, staring at the screen in disbelief. Her heart raced as she listened to the announcement again. The Galactic Federation wasn't some small-time group. It was a coalition of advanced civilizations with technology far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. The idea that they had turned their eyes on Earth was enough to send a chill down anyone's spine. Captain Drake was not one to be easily rattled. She had led countless missions, faced unimaginable odds, and come out victorious every time. But this was different. She quickly realized that this was not just a war against Earth. It was a fight for survival. The aliens weren't going to come with open arms or diplomacy. They were coming to wipe out humanity, to annihilate everything in their path. Prepare for immediate defense, she barked, her voice steady but urgent. This isn't a drill. This is real. A crew of officers scrambled to action, gathering intelligence, coordinating with allies, and deploying resources. But Ava couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The Galactic Federation had already shown its strength, and the weapons they possessed could decimate entire cities with ease. In her mind, it was clear. Humanity was outmatched, outgunned, and completely unprepared. But she wasn't about to give up. She knew one thing for certain. Humans had something the aliens didn't expect. The will to fight, the ability to adapt, and most of all, the ingenuity to turn impossible odds in their favor. As the first alien ships appeared on the horizon, casting dark shadows over the cities of Earth, Ava's resolve hardened. She wasn't going to let Earth fall without a fight, and she knew, deep down, that she would lead humanity to victory, no matter what it took. The war had begun, and Captain Ava Drake was ready to face it head-on. The skies above Earth darkened with the arrival of the first wave of alien ships. They were unlike anything humanity had ever seen, massive, sleek, and shimmering with an eerie light. As the ships descended, the world held its breath. No one had ever anticipated such a force descending upon them. Panic spread faster than wildfire. People ran through the streets, taking shelter wherever they could, their hearts racing in fear. Captain Ava Drake stood on the rooftop of the Earth Defense Command, her eyes scanning the skies. The alien ships were unlike anything humans had ever encountered, and their presence made the air feel thick with tension. The invaders had not wasted time. The war had begun the moment the Galactic Federation had declared it. And now, humanity was facing the harsh reality of being outmatched on every front. In the distance, a loud rumble echoed through the city. Ava could see the ships hovering over major cities, releasing strange, glowing projectiles. The moment they hit the ground, entire buildings exploded into dust, leaving nothing but rubble and fire. A massive shockwave rippled through the city, shaking the ground beneath her feet. "This is it," Ava muttered to herself, watching the chaos unfold. She quickly turned to her team. "We need to launch a counterattack now, before it's too late." Her voice was steady, but deep down, she was terrified. These were not the type of enemies who could be reasoned with. The aliens had technology so advanced that humans were powerless to stop them. Their weapons were designed to obliterate with minimal effort, and humanity was barely prepared for such a confrontation. Ava moved swiftly through the command center, issuing orders and organizing the defense. There were no second chances. The planet's survival depended on how quickly humanity could adapt. As the alien ships continued their assault, her mind raced. She knew that a direct military response was unlikely to succeed. But there had to be another way. A way to use the invaders' arrogance against them. Back on the ground, the situation was even worse. Soldiers were scrambling to protect civilians, but the alien weapons tore through the defenses effortlessly. Tanks were reduced to molten heaps of metal in seconds. Fighter jets, which were humanity's last line of defense, were shot down from the sky before they could even engage. Ava's thoughts turned to the technology she had seen on the alien ships. There had to be a weakness. No one's technology was invincible. If she could find it, even a small flaw, she knew she could turn the tide of the war. The Commander-in-Chief, General Morgan, called for a meeting. Ava quickly made her way to the underground bunker, where the high-ranking officers gathered. The weight of the moment pressed down on her. The fate of Earth was in their hands. "We're losing ground faster than we can fight back," General Morgan said, frustration clear in his voice. "We need a miracle." Ava stared at the screen showing the devastation outside. "We don't need a miracle. We need to outsmart them." The general raised an eyebrow. "And how do you propose we do that?" Ava took a deep breath. "We've got one chance. We have to find their weakness. Every advanced civilization has one." It was their only hope, and Ava was determined to find it before it was too late. The war had only just begun, but she knew humanity's strength lay in its ability to adapt, and she was ready to lead the way. The war was escalating quickly, and Earth was on the brink of collapse. Alien ships hovered over every major city, their weapons tearing through defenses with terrifying ease. It seemed as though humanity was losing ground by the minute, and the soldiers on the front lines were struggling to hold back the relentless assault. Captain Ava Drake knew that the situation was desperate. Their military might was no match for the advanced technology of the aliens. Tanks and fighter jets had been obliterated in seconds, and even Earth's most sophisticated weapons couldn't put a dent in the invaders' ships. It was clear that humanity needed something more, a breakthrough that could turn the tide of the war. Ava had spent days scouring every piece of information available, looking for any clue that could help. And then, as if by chance, she found it. Late one night, while going through old military archives, she came across a strange file buried deep in the records. It was an ancient report from a group of explorers who had encountered a similar alien race decades ago. The explorers had documented a mysterious piece of alien technology, an artifact that had the potential to defeat even the most powerful alien forces. The file didn't say much, but it was enough to spark a glimmer of hope. Ava knew that this technology was their last hope. If they could find it, humanity might have a chance to survive. She immediately gathered her best team of scientists, engineers, and military personnel. They worked tirelessly, studying the file and piecing together its cryptic details. Every moment felt crucial. Ava couldn't afford to waste time. If they didn't act soon, Earth might be lost forever. After days of research, they discovered the location of the artifact, an ancient alien ruin hidden deep in a remote part of the world. The ruins were said to be protected by a series of deadly traps, but if they could retrieve the artifact, it could potentially change the course of the war. Ava knew the mission would be risky. They would be walking into the heart of enemy territory, where alien patrols were everywhere. But this was humanity's last chance, and she wasn't about to back down. With a small, specialized team, she set out to retrieve the artifact. The journey was treacherous, with the team having to navigate dense forests, harsh weather, and dangerous terrain. Every step felt like a step closer to the end, but Ava remained focused. She had come this far, and she couldn't let her people down. As they approached the ruins, Ava's heart pounded in her chest. She could feel the weight of the mission pressing down on her. This wasn't just a battle for Earth, it was a fight for the future of humanity. They entered the ruins cautiously, every sound echoing through the silent halls. The walls were covered in strange alien symbols, glowing faintly in the dim light. The air was thick with an eerie energy. Ava led her team forward, knowing that the artifact was somewhere inside. After what felt like hours of searching, they finally found it, a small spherical object, resting in the center of a large chamber. Ava could feel the power emanating from it. This was it. This was their chance. But as her hand reached out to grab it, a loud rumble echoed through the ruins. The alien traps had been triggered. Time was running out. Ava snatched the artifact and turned to her team. Move out now. The race against time had begun. The fate of Earth rested in their hands. The escape from the ancient ruins was frantic. Ava and her team sprinted through the crumbling halls, their hearts racing as the alien traps triggered one after another. The walls shook with the force of explosions, and the ground beneath them cracked open. They had only moments before the entire structure would collapse around them. Ava clutched the small, spherical artifact tightly in her hand, its surface glowing faintly with an energy that seemed almost alive. It was their last hope, the one thing that could give humanity a fighting chance against the alien invaders. But as the team made their way toward the exit, Ava's mind raced. The artifact was powerful, but she didn't understand how it worked. How could it possibly help them defeat an entire galactic empire? As they emerged into the open air, they were met with the sounds of distant explosions and the sight of the alien ships still hovering ominously in the sky. The world was in chaos, and they had no time to waste. Ava quickly turned to her team. We need to get back to base. We have to find out what this thing can do. With the artifact secured, they made their way back to Earth Defense Command. Ava's thoughts were a blur. She had been so focused on the mission, on getting the artifact, that she hadn't stopped to think about what it truly meant. She couldn't afford to make mistakes now. Back at the command center, Ava and her team worked tirelessly to analyze the artifact. Hours passed, and the pressure weighed on them. The alien forces were still relentless, and the clock was ticking. They needed answers, and they needed them fast. As the team ran tests and gathered data, a scientist named Dr. Harrow, a quiet and meticulous expert in alien technology, made a breakthrough. He discovered a hidden compartment within the artifact. It was a small panel that, when activated, revealed a series of complex symbols and intricate designs. It looked like a code, something that could unlock the artifact's true potential. This isn't just a weapon," Dr. Harrow said, his voice filled with disbelief. "It's a key." Ava's eyes widened. A key to what? Dr. Harrow studied the symbols carefully. It's a key to a larger network of technology. A network that could control the very ships the aliens used to invade and conquer planets. Ava felt a surge of hope. If they could use the artifact to take control of the alien fleet, it could shift the balance of power in their favor. The aliens, so far ahead in terms of technology, had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity's ability to find a way to fight back. "Can we activate it?" Ava asked urgently. Dr. Harrow nodded, but his expression was cautious. "It's going to take time. It's incredibly complex, and we need to be sure we're not unlocking something we can't control." Ava's mind was already racing with the possibilities. "We don't have time. We need to try." The room fell silent as the team worked together, piecing together the ancient alien code. Ava stood at the front, her heart pounding as the final sequence was entered. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. This was humanity's last hope. One wrong move, and everything could be lost. Then, with a soft hum, the artifact responded. A holographic display flickered to life in front of them, showing a network of alien ships, their movements, and their weak points. It was a blueprint, a map to their very destruction. "We've got them," Ava whispered, her voice filled with both awe and determination. For the first time since the war began, Ava allowed herself to feel something close to hope. But she knew this was just the beginning. The real battle had yet to come. The news spread quickly. Ava and her team had done the impossible. They had unlocked the alien artifact's secrets, gaining access to the very network controlling the invaders' ships. It was a breakthrough that could change everything. The alien fleet's movements, their weak points, and their defenses were now at humanity's fingertips. But Ava knew it was still a long shot. The aliens were powerful, and they had already shown how merciless they could be. Even with this new advantage, the fight was far from over. Ava gathered her team and high-ranking military officials in the war room. The holographic display projected the map of the alien fleet, with symbols marking their ships' positions across Earth. The strategy was clear. They had to strike quickly and decisively before the aliens realized that their control system had been compromised. "We don't have time to waste," Ava said, her voice firm. "If we hesitate, we lose our chance. We need to act now, while the aliens are still unaware." Her plan was simple but risky. With the alien fleet's weak points identified, Ava proposed a two-part strike. The first team would infiltrate an alien command ship and disable its weapon systems. The second team would launch a coordinated attack on the fleet's command center, using the alien technology to disrupt their communication and navigation systems. If successful, it would cripple the alien invasion force, giving humanity a fighting chance. As the team prepared for the mission, tension was high. The stakes were higher than ever. No one knew what awaited them on the battlefield, but the fact that they had a real shot at winning was enough to push them forward. Ava led the first team. Her heart raced with anticipation. They had trained for this moment, but the reality of the mission still felt overwhelming. They were heading into the heart of the alien fleet, an enemy stronghold that had already taken Earth's cities with ease. They had to succeed, or Earth would be lost. The team boarded a stealth craft, equipped with alien technology to help them blend into the invaders' fleet. As they made their way toward the command ship, Ava's thoughts swirled. This was the moment that could turn the war. She was the one leading this charge. She was the one with the responsibility to ensure humanity's survival. As the stealth craft approached the alien ship, Ava could see its massive size looming in the distance. The ship glowed with an unnatural light, the hull smooth and sleek. They had to get inside undetected, and the slightest misstep could alert the aliens to their presence. "Everyone stay low," Ava whispered, her eyes scanning the ship as they neared their target. The tension in the craft was thick. Every soldier knew what was at stake. They landed undetected on a hidden docking bay at the rear of the alien ship. The team quickly disembarked, moving silently through the dark corridors of the enemy vessel. The alien technology surrounding them was both beautiful and terrifying. Sleek surfaces that seemed to pulse with energy. Ava couldn't help but feel a sense of awe mixed with fear. They reached the command center. The leader of the team, Sergeant Kara, approached the control panel with the alien key in hand. She began hacking into the system, disabling weapons and shields one by one. It was slow work, and Ava could feel the pressure building. If they were discovered now, everything would be over. Finally, with a low hum, the alien systems powered down. The ship was vulnerable. "Target 1 is down," Kara said, her voice calm. "The second phase can begin." Ava nodded. "Let's move quickly. This isn't over yet." The first strike had been successful. Now, humanity's fate rested on the second team's shoulders. Ava's heart pounded in her chest. They had taken the first step, but the war was far from won. The strike had been successful, but Ava knew that this was only the beginning. The alien command ship was now vulnerable, its weapons and shields disabled. The first phase of the mission had gone off without a hitch, but the second part, the attack on the fleet's main control center, was far more dangerous. The alien forces were scrambling to react, and time was running out. Ava and her team made their way back to Earth Defense Command. As they landed, They received an urgent communication from General Morgan. "We need to talk. It's urgent." Ava felt a growing sense of unease. The situation was already critical, and any delay could cost them dearly. She hurried to the command center, where the general was waiting. "Ava," General Morgan began, his voice tense, "we've just received some disturbing news. Some of the alien factions are looking for a way out of this war." Ava frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "They declared war on us. Why would they back down now?" The general looked at her gravely. "There's a group of defectors within their ranks. They want to stop the war, but they need our help. They're reaching out, offering us an alliance." The idea sounded almost impossible. Ava had always believed that the aliens, united under the Galactic Federation, were a single monolithic force. But now it seemed there were cracks in the Empire. Some of them didn't want to see Earth destroyed. They didn't want to see their own people fighting an unnecessary war. "Are they trustworthy?" Ava asked cautiously. "They seem to be," General Morgan replied. "They've sent us intel about a major flaw in their fleet. They claim that if we attack the central power source, we can cripple the entire invasion. But they need our help to get close enough. They want to work together." Ava's mind raced. This was a risky move, but it could also be their best chance at ending the war once and for all. If they could join forces with the defectors, they might be able to finish what they had started and take down the alien leadership from the inside. But trusting the enemy was always a dangerous gamble. "We don't have much of a choice," Ava said, her voice determined. "We're out of time. If we refuse, we might lose everything. We'll need to move quickly. Arrange a meeting." Within hours, Ava and a small team of Earth defense officials met with the alien defectors at a hidden location. The aliens, a small group of humanoid figures, were visibly different from the soldiers that had attacked Earth. They had a more peaceful, almost sorrowful look in their eyes. It was clear they didn't want to be a part of the war. Their leader, a tall alien with pale skin and glowing eyes, introduced herself as Lizara. She spoke with a calm authority, but there was a clear sadness in her tone. "We've watched your world suffer," Lizara said. "We never wanted this. The war was forced upon us by our leaders, but we can't let it continue. We've seen the strength of humanity, and we admire it. We're offering you this chance, but only if you're willing to trust us." Ava studied Lizara carefully. There was something genuine in her words, something that convinced her this wasn't a trick. "We'll work with you," Ava replied, her voice steady. "But we do this together. No one gets left behind." The alliance was formed. The aliens would guide humanity to the heart of the invasion fleet, where they would strike at the central power source and cripple the enemy's forces once and for all. But the clock was ticking. The war was still raging, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. As Ava prepared for the next phase of the mission, she couldn't help but wonder how far this unexpected alliance would go. But one thing was certain: they were all in this together now, and no matter what happened, they would fight to the very end. The alliance with the alien defectors had come together swiftly, but there was no time to waste. Ava and her team, now working alongside Lizara and her group, prepared for the most dangerous mission yet, one that could end the war once and for all. With the alien fleet still in orbit, Earth was running out of time. The enemy wasn't going to wait for humanity to figure things out. The defectors had shared valuable intelligence. The central power source that powered the entire fleet was located on a massive command ship. If they could disable it, the alien fleet would fall apart, leaving Earth free from the threat. The mission, however, was anything but simple. The power source was heavily guarded, and the command ship was protected by a fleet of warships. Ava looked out over the base, watching as the soldiers prepared for the mission. Their faces were determined, but she could sense the fear beneath the surface. They were about to launch a full assault on the heart of the alien invasion. If they failed, everything they had fought for would be lost. Lizara stood beside Ava, her expression calm. "We've seen your people fight with strength and courage. This mission will not be easy, but it is the only way forward. Ava nodded. We've come this far. We can't stop now. The first phase of the mission was to infiltrate the alien fleet without being detected. The combined forces of human and alien soldiers worked together, using the defectors' knowledge of the enemy's ships to slip past their defenses. It was a delicate operation, and one mistake could result in disaster. But Ava knew the stakes. Failure wasn't an option. As they neared the command ship, Ava's heart raced. The sheer size of the alien vessel was overwhelming, its dark metallic surface reflecting the stars. It was the heart of the invasion, the source of the destruction. If they could take it down, they would cripple the entire fleet. Ava's team boarded their ship, preparing for the final assault. Their plan was to breach the command ship, disable its power source, and then retreat before the aliens could react. It was a risky strategy, but they had no other choice. The alien fleet had already begun to retaliate against the smaller human forces on Earth, and if they didn't act quickly, their chances of survival would vanish. As they boarded the command ship, Ava led her team through its eerie, empty halls. The ship was silent, but the tension in the air was thick. They were deep inside enemy territory, and every step could lead to a trap. Ava gripped her weapon tightly, her mind focused on the mission. They reached the central chamber where the power source was located. The room was massive, filled with glowing energy conduits and strange alien technology. But there was no time to marvel at it. The team quickly set to work, planting explosives and preparing to disable the power systems. Suddenly, alarms blared across the ship. They had been detected. Ava's heart skipped a beat, but she didn't hesitate. "Activate the charges," she shouted. The explosives went off, sending a shockwave through the ship. Sparks flew from the walls, and the hum of the power source faltered. The team quickly made their way to the exit, but the alien forces were closing in. They had triggered the alarm, and now, the battle for Earth's future was about to begin. "Get to the ship," Ava shouted. "Move." As they raced toward the exit, alien soldiers poured into the corridors, but the team held their ground. The mission was almost over. They could feel the power source failing, the ship starting to shut down. But the aliens weren't giving up without a fight. Ava's heart pounded as the final showdown began, knowing that humanity's fate rested on their shoulders. With a burst of energy, Ava and her team made their way back to their ship, the alien command vessel beginning to lose power behind them. They had done it. The battle wasn't over yet, but humanity had struck a decisive blow. Now, it was up to the rest of the world to finish what they had started. The explosion that rocked the alien command ship was only the beginning. Ava and her team had managed to escape the chaos just in time, but they could feel the weight of the battle hanging over them. As they raced back to their ship, the failing power of the alien fleet was evident. The once invincible fleet, now severely crippled, was beginning to stagger. Their weapons systems had gone offline, and their communication had been disrupted. Ava knew this was the perfect moment for humanity to deliver the final blow. But the war wasn't over yet. The alien leader, the one who had orchestrated the attack on Earth, was still at large. Ava couldn't shake the thought that the war would only truly end when the leader was taken down. The invaders needed to know that humanity would never bow down. The thought of the leader's downfall filled Ava with determination. "Prepare the strike team," Ava said as they boarded their ship. Her voice was steady, but inside, she felt the pressure mounting. "We're going after their leader." The plan was simple: infiltrate the main alien ship where the leader was hiding and confront them directly. The alien forces had already been thrown into disarray, and their leadership was fractured. This was their chance to strike at the heart of the invasion. As they approached the leader's ship, Ava couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. Just a few weeks ago, humanity was on the brink of extinction, helpless against a galactic enemy. Now they had the strength, the unity, and the strategy to win. But this final confrontation was everything. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience and refusal to give in to fear. The alien leader's ship was massive, surrounded by what was left of the alien fleet. It was an imposing sight, with dark, jagged edges that seemed to absorb the light around it. But Ava wasn't intimidated. She knew what had to be done. They landed on the surface of the ship, moving quickly through the corridors. The ship's interior was cold and sterile, filled with alien symbols that sent a shiver down her spine. But Ava's focus was unshakable. They couldn't afford to waste time. Finally, they'd reached the central command chamber, where the alien leader waited. Ava stepped forward, her hand gripping the weapon at her side. She knew the leader would try to manipulate the situation, try to negotiate or intimidate, but she wouldn't be swayed. This wasn't about peace anymore. It was about ensuring that humanity could live free. The leader, tall and imposing with dark, shimmering skin, turned to face her, their eyes locked. "You think you can defeat me?" The leader's voice was cold, laced with arrogance. "Your species is nothing compared to the might of the Galactic Federation." Ava stood tall, unflinching. "We're not afraid of you. We never were." The alien leader's face twisted with anger, but there was something else in their eyes. Fear. It was a moment of vulnerability that Ava had been waiting for. The leader had underestimated humanity. They had underestimated her. With a swift motion, Ava raised her weapon, but before she could strike, the leader moved with lightning speed, knocking her aside. The team rushed in, but the alien leader was powerful, using their advanced abilities to try and overpower them. But Ava wasn't done. She quickly recovered, using the alien artifact she had carried through the entire mission. The technology had been their secret weapon, and now it was time to use it. As she activated the artifact, the alien leader's powers began to fade. The ship's systems, too, started to shut down, signaling that their hold on Earth was slipping away. "No," the leader snarled, their voice filled with desperation. "You cannot." But it was too late. The alien leader's grip on the ship's systems loosened, and the fleet began to break apart. Ava didn't hesitate. With one final push, she struck. The alien leader fell, their reign of terror over Earth finally coming to an end. Ava stood over the fallen leader, breathing heavily but with a sense of triumph in her chest. The war was over. Humanity had won. As the rest of the alien fleet began to retreat, Ava and her team watched from the command center. The battle had been long, but Earth had stood firm. It was a victory not just for humanity, but for every species that had fought against oppression. For the first time in days, Ava allowed herself to smile. It wasn't just the end of the war, it was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. And with that, the universe knew. Humanity would never be a species to be underestimated again. The alien leader's downfall sent shockwaves through the invading fleet. Ava stood in the command center of Earth defense, watching the flickering lights of the alien ships as they began to retreat. The battle had been fierce, and though the war was far from over, a sense of relief washed over her. They had struck a decisive blow. The heart of the invasion had been shattered, and with it, the foundation of the alien empire. The alien fleet was now leaderless and fractured. Some ships without orders had started to fall back, retreating into deep space. Others, still loyal to the fallen leader, were desperately trying to regroup. Ava's mind raced as she realized just how close humanity had come to defeat. If they hadn't managed to disable the alien command ship and eliminate the leader, Earth would have been lost. "We did it," Sergeant Kara said, her voice filled with disbelief as she looked at the images of the retreating alien ships. "It's over." But Ava wasn't so sure. The alien empire was vast, and it wasn't going to crumble just because one leader had fallen. There were still powerful factions out there, factions that might want revenge, or still see humanity as a threat. Ava knew they couldn't relax yet. The victory had been hard-earned, but the war wasn't over. "We've taken down their leader, but that doesn't mean they're done," Ava replied, her voice steady but determined. We need to make sure this doesn't turn into something worse. General Morgan, who had been monitoring the situation, approached her. What's the next move, Captain? Ava took a deep breath, studying the holographic map of the galaxy. The alien fleet had retreated, but their empire stretched across countless planets. It was unlikely that the Federation would simply let humanity go unpunished. They would regroup, and they would retaliate. We need to secure our position, she said, looking over the gathered officers. We can't afford to wait for them to come back stronger. We must make sure Earth is ready, and we need to form alliances with the other alien factions. The Galactic Federation is not the only power out there, and there may be others who are willing to work with us. General Morgan nodded. Agreed. But we'll have to move fast. Their retreat might just be a tactic to buy time. We can't afford to let them regroup. Ava turned back to the screen. The alien fleet was retreating, but some ships were still dangerously close to Earth. She knew that if they didn't act quickly, the invaders could reorganize and strike again when humanity was least prepared. It's time for us to be proactive, Ava said. We'll send out our diplomats to make contact with any alien factions that might be sympathetic to our cause. We need to secure peace, and we need to make sure that the Federation understands that humanity is not to be trifled with. As the minutes passed, Ava's team worked swiftly to put her plan into action. Their victory over the alien leader had been the spark they needed, but now they had to make sure that spark didn't fizzle out. The world was watching, and humanity's future was uncertain. They had won the battle, but the war for Earth's place in the galaxy had just begun. Ava knew that no matter what came next, humanity had proven one thing beyond a doubt. They were not a species to be underestimated. The galaxy would remember the day humanity fought back and won. For the first time in history, humanity stood as equals among the stars, and no one, alien or otherwise, could ever forget that. Earth had just witnessed the most extraordinary shift in its history. The alien threat had been defeated, and humanity stood victorious. But victory came at a price. The war had left cities in ruins, families torn apart, and the world uncertain about the future. The final battle had not only shattered the alien forces, but had also changed the course of history. Now, humanity was left to rebuild and redefine its place in the galaxy. Ava stood at the edge of a balcony, staring out over the skyline of a city slowly beginning to recover. It had been weeks since the alien retreat, and though Earth was still rebuilding, the scars of war were everywhere. But despite the destruction, there was hope. The streets were alive with people working together, helping one another. For the first time, the people of Earth felt united, no longer divided by petty conflicts or fears of the unknown. As Ava watched the horizon, General Morgan approached, his footsteps soft on the balcony floor. "We did it," he said quietly, his voice filled with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Ava nodded, but her thoughts were elsewhere. Yes, but it doesn't end here. The alien threat may be gone, but there are still challenges ahead. The galaxy is vast, and there are powers we've yet to understand. "I know," Morgan said, looking at her with a weary smile. "But you led us to this victory. You've given us a chance to rebuild." Ava turned to face him, her expression serious. "This victory is just the beginning. We've shown the galaxy that humanity isn't just a species to be crushed. We have a place among the stars, but we have to be ready for whatever comes next." The general nodded. "So, what's the next step?" "We need to start building bridges," Ava said. "The Galactic Federation may have been the enemy, but there are other factions out there, some that may be sympathetic to our cause. We need to reach out, form alliances, and make sure that we don't face another war like this. It's time for humanity to take its place in the galactic community." As Ava spoke, a message flashed on the screen inside the command center. It was from Lazara, the alien defector who had helped them in their fight. She had offered her species support in rebuilding Earth, and now she was ready to make good on that promise. "They're ready to talk," Ava said, turning to the general with a determined look. The first step in rebuilding Earth's future begins now. The next few days were filled with diplomatic efforts. Ava and her team worked alongside the alien defectors to negotiate new terms for peace. The defectors had their own agendas, but they wanted the war to end as much as humanity did. With their help, Earth was able to secure alliances with several other alien factions, ones that had been watching humanity's resilience with interest. But as Ava continued to work on Earth's recovery, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was watching. Humanity had just proven itself capable of surviving against a much stronger force, and now their place in the universe had changed forever. Earth was no longer a backwater planet. Humans had earned respect. Ava had helped lead them to this point, and she knew it was only a matter of time before Earth would play a significant role in the galaxy's future. As she looked out over the city once more, Ava felt a sense of pride. Earth had faced destruction and come out stronger. Now, humanity was ready to face whatever the future held, with courage, determination, and the unwavering belief that no matter how impossible the odds, they could always find a way to win. Humanity had truly earned its place among the stars. The galaxy would never forget the day Earth fought back and won.